Well, thank you, and Mayor, it is great to see you again. And Mike, thank you very much. You know, you and your team are great partners in a lot of different ways. I'm really glad we're able to partner with you on the Blue campaign and so many other things. And I want to thank all of you for being here, but also more importantly, thank you for the work you're doing to help those who are vulnerable and those who are in abusive or dangerous situations. What we're talking about here today is power and control. Domestic violence, sexual violence, stalking, and human trafficking are all expressions of power and control committed by an abuser, often against those who are closest to them. What this hotline and this coordinated community response is going to do is give power and control back to the survivors and help them regain their sense of self, set them on a path to healing, and give them back power and control over their own lives. Whether it is domestic violence, sexual violence, stalking, or human trafficking, we are talking about devastating, dehumanizing crimes that can leave physical and emotional scars that last a lifetime. An act of violence against a spouse, intimate partner, or child, whether experienced or witnessed, can impact the way individuals relate to others, the relationships they form later in life, and the way they value themselves. Children who are exposed to violence in the home are more likely to struggle in school, develop unhealthy relationships or substance abuse disorders, or be either a victim or perpetrator of domestic violence later in life. There is even a link between family and domestic violence and acts of mass violence and shootings. Breaking free from one of these situations can be unimaginably difficult, especially when you start to think about children, housing, financial support, and everything else that goes through a victim's mind. Abusers and traffickers rely on fear and manipulation to keep control over their victims and keep them in dangerous and unhealthy situations. And the fact is that unhealthy and abusive relationships can be very complex ones. There have even been trafficking situations where victims don't realize exactly what was happening to them and still denied they were being held. When someone makes that decision to reach out for help, any kind of help, whether it is leaving a situation, finding housing, or just taking steps to live a violence-free life in their own home, they should know exactly where to turn 24 hours a day. There cannot be any wrong door, confusion, or delay, and you never know when one of those situations could take a tragic turn. So a unified one-stop shop for victims and survivors is especially important in an area like this where the boundaries are so fluid and communities blend into one another. One number that will activate the coordinated community response that can help victims and their families find safety and freedom. I am really proud also of the work that we're doing in the Attorney General's office to complement the great work being done at the local level, including in Hampton Roads by the YWCA and their partners. Out of my office, we are working with law enforcement and community service providers around Hampton Roads and around the state to implement lethality assessment protocol, which is a series of questions that can predict when a violent situation might turn deadly. It is a proven way to reduce domestic homicide. 97 Virginians lost their lives to domestic homicide in 2015, which is down 13% from the year before, but still accounts for a quarter of all homicides in the Commonwealth. It's already used by Norfolk and Chesapeake, and we have trained Hampton and Newport News Police in lethality assessment, and later this month, we're going to be training Virginia Beach. We have run award-winning human trafficking awareness campaigns, promoting resources for victims, and sending a clear signal to traffickers that we will find them and we will bring them to justice. And I'm leading a project to clear out the statewide backlog in untested PERT kits in Virginia, the rape evidence kits that have been on shelves sometimes for decades. All of this is being done to complement local efforts and send a clear signal to victims and survivors that we as a Commonwealth understand the seriousness of the crime. Now, you can look around and you see a lot of purple around today. Well, that's because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. All year long, actually, but this month in particular, we should all commit ourselves to saying loudly and clearly that we do not tolerate these crimes in Virginia. And we will hold perpetrators accountable, and we will support survivors as they pursue their own path of healing and freedom from violence. And if anyone out there feels alone or trapped or scared for themselves or their children, please make that call. There is an incredible network of people and resources right here in your community ready to help you find safety and freedom. So to the YWCA and all of the partner agencies that have made this hotline happen, I again say thank you. You all have the full support of me and my team in the Attorney General's office, and I know that what you're doing is going to make a huge difference in the lives of victims and survivors in Hampton Roads and in this community, and I want to thank you all so much for your work.